Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. I hope you've all gone through another week unscathed, unhurt, feeling joyous, all those good things. I wanted to talk about this week something that happened to me, and that was bites, bruises, and blisters. Now, the thing that happened to me this week was the bites, and I was not expecting it, but it led me down the road of thinking about oh, you know what? I've had bites, blisters, and the bruises all my life. And I'm like, then it suddenly went, are they all lipedema related? And you might already know this. You might go, of course. But for me, it was like, oh. So I went on a bit of a deep dive. And now I have got slides kind of for tonight. Whether it works or not, who knows? But we'll give it a crack, right? Because it's all about trying new things in life. Otherwise, you don't know what will work and what will not, whether it's for a physical ailment or a YouTube live stream. So, I have always had issues with bites. So, mozzie bites, if they're around, if there's mozzies around, I'm the first person to get bitten without a doubt. In fact, there's one in front of me now. um, as a kid, mum said that I got bitten by march flies and they would get infected and all this sort of thing. And as we know, lipedema, you're born with it, right? So I got bitten in these last few days and I knew I'd got bitten because I could feel them, but it always takes a few days before the bites appear. And then they appear and show just how bad they are. Now, I'm going to show you, hopefully, a picture of my mozzie bites. Half naked and loose skin and saggy skin and all. So no judgment, please. Let's see if I can do it like I did it earlier. Here we go. All right. Here's my mozzie bites on my ass. And as you'll see, this is like 2 days in. So please keep in mind, I've lost 60 kilos. I have a lot of loose skin back there. I'm 54. So you can see how purple they've become and how enraged they are. Okay, so that's not a normal reaction to a mozzie bite, right? At all. So that's when I sort of started going, oh, hang on a sec. Let me get rid of this now. Back to me. That's when I started sort of deep diving into this whole bites, blisters, and bruises. Now, we all know about bruises. But the other thing that occurred to me is over the years, I get a lot of blisters with shoes. And I'm not talking in just one way. Let me put up another slide since that one worked well. Okay, so I'm talking about blisters everywhere. Okay, I'm not just talking about the backs of the heels. I'm talking about on my toes, under my toes, the tops of my toes, whenever I get a strappy shoe, anything. It's like it's almost impossible to get a shoe that, apart from runners, sneakers, and thongs. And even then, some thongs cause me blisters. I bought some slides to wear over here, which is the same brand as the thongs I use, which are Archies. They're an Australian orthotic kind of brand. They give me a blister on the tops of my feet. So I was like, oh, hang on a sec. Anything skin related. So I went deep diving into why this is, and it came down to two things. A, impaired lymphatics, which we have with lipedema, and capillary fragility, so fragile capillaries. And if you look at this next one, you will see showing all my body now, aren't we? Okay, so you can see there the capillaries. So that's showing a bruising recently, and I don't think I did anything really harsh to myself because I don't remember doing it, but bruising sort of straight away. But you can see all the broken capillaries around my knees there. Whether or not they came about after my double knee replacement or they were always there, I don't really remember. But that shows me that my capillaries are quite fragile, right? So I went hunting down the road of what can I do for my capillaries? Because I don't just want to know, why it happens. But before I go into that, let me talk about why this is a risk. So, why bites are a problem, why broken skin of any kind is a problem for lipedema. Cellulitis. Now, cellulitis is a bacterial infection that can happen. And I came across an alarming study, which is 5% of the general population, so people with or without, probably without any kind of chronic edema in their legs, gets cellulitis in a year, in a time frame. So 5% of the population will get it. 37 to 47% of people with any kind of chronic leg swelling, so any kind of edema, lipedema, lymphedema, 37 to 47% of people will get cellulitis. And cellulitis is really, really dangerous. Okay, so essentially, it can cause death. It causes, I wrote down a big list. Where did I write the list? That's okay. It can lead to sepsis, so blood poisoning, which can kill you. It can lead to gangrene of the tissues surrounding that area where, it's caused a problem. It can spread to the bones, it can spread to the joints, it can spread to the heart valves, and it can worsen lymphedema if you have lymphedema. So cellulitis is something we don't want, which kind of leads me to this whole, I talk about, risk versus benefit with anything I do. And I talk about all the time, the risks of chemicals on our hormones and all that kind of thing. However, this is a very big case for risk versus benefit, and the risk of the chemicals involved in mozzie sprays and deterrents and things like that for people with lipedema, I would say is worth the benefit of not getting bites. Shall we go back to my bite picture? Because I still look at it, and you might get worse bites than that. But that for me, I've had them, in more places than that. But for them to, and that's a day in of having topical steroid cream, because this is the second time I've had it here in Bangkok, because we go walking in the park. It's wet. Hi, Janice. How are you? So there are a lot of mozzies around here. And as I said, I'm the one that attracts them without doubt. And so the risk versus the benefit here of me spraying mozzie spray on myself before I go to the park is worth the effort, right? It definitely is. I've had to go and get topical steroid cream from the pharmacy. It's great here. You just go into a pharmacy. You don't need any kinds of scripts or anything like that. You just show the pharmacist what's wrong with you, and the pharmacist gives you what you need. We took all our medications, my thyroid medication, all of that kind of thing, into the pharmacy. Said, can we get all these here? Yep. Don't need a script. Don't need to see a doctor. So that's a bonus here. But I don't like the idea of putting steroid cream on bites every time I want to go for a walk in the park, which is many days of the week. So the risk versus the benefit of spraying myself with some sort of DEET mozzie deterrent is probably worth it. I'm experimenting with coconut oil because I've been told that coconut oil deters mozzie bites. However, I'm pretty sure I was wearing coconut oil when I got this lot of bites. So I'm not sure. I'm still trying to nail it down. I even said to my husband, is it because I left my leggings on the floor? Like, did something fly in the balcony door and get caught? Because it was all around my, upper thighs and my butt area. So I was like, So yeah, I'm still not quite sure. But coconut oil, I have heard on a lot of YouTube sites that is really great as a deterrent. And I have to say, the coconut oil after the bites, which coconut oil is antibacterial in its own right, definitely makes it feel better. It stops it itching. So there's that going for it. So back to what can we do for fragile capillaries. And in case you don't know what that looks like and you've only just joined us, let's just relook at the fragile capillaries on my legs and the bruising. So you can see all the capillaries they're called spider veins. Us women know it as spider veins. And I think you can go and have some sort of injectables done to make them go away. And that's great. I'm all for that sort of thing. However, what it does tell me is that my capillaries are quite fragile right now, because everything that our body tells us is a signal, it is a sign. So, this more than anything for me has just said, oh, I need to do some more work on strengthening my capillaries. All right. So, I encourage you to anything that happens in your body, even if it's something that you can get rid of medically or cosmetically or whatever, still pay attention to what it's telling you first. And sure, have the cosmetic thing done, and I'm not against that at all, but pay attention to what it's telling you in the first place, right? So this is, let me pull up my next little sheet. Here we go. All right. Look at my very rudimentary that I did in 2 minutes slide. How to strengthen capillaries. So flavonoids. I'm still working on a video on diosmin and hesperidin, which are actually in the same thing. They're the same thing. So I'm not quite sure. It's kind of like saying turmeric and curcumin. Curcumin is a constituent of turmeric. So it's a similar thing with the diosmin and hesperidin. But that has been named across a lot of lipedema sites as being helpful for lipedema legs, but it's also probably because it contributes to capillary health, right? I haven't gotten any of that yet. I haven't found any of it in Bangkok yet, but I will go searching on that. Vitamin C. Now, I've been taking vitamin C now every morning for the last, I'm going to say 2 or 3 weeks. Hubby and I, a glass of water with vitamin C in it, a powder, straight down on an empty stomach, because I've been watching this doctor called Dr. Sarah Myland, I think her name is, and she was saying that to avoid infections and all that sort of thing, our upper gut is meant to be sterile, the upper part of our gut tract. And the way to do that is through vitamin C on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. So we've been doing that every morning. And I have to say, we've been here for 6 weeks, something like that. I'm not even sure anymore. Time frames are sort of disappearing on me. And we've not been sick in any way. Not from food, not from different temperatures, not from just moving a country. Normally, how you get sick from the plane or just changes in your life. Generally, you get run down and you get sick, right? I was fully expecting it. Has not happened as yet. Is it because we're taking the vitamin C every morning? I do not know, but that's what I found out about vitamin C, but it also helps our capillaries. So win-win for me with my lipedema. Antioxidants, green tea and curcumin. If you have thyroid disease, watch the green tea. Judy, Queensland, Australia, it's 10 past 10 here, having trouble with reception for the first time. Interesting. I'm on Wi-Fi, but we've got pretty good coverage here, so I'm not sure if it's your Wi-Fi or mine. But you've had storms over there, so not sure. All right, green tea. Watch yourself if you've got thyroid disease as well as lipedema, because green tea has naturally occurring fluoride in it, which can cause problems there. And I know some people think, oh, one thing is good, well, then 10 of them's better. And I find the green tea lovers out there, drink it all day because it's good for you. And for the most part, in some situations, it is. But don't forget, just because a glass of it is great for us doesn't mean 10 glasses is better. There's always a balance, right? Okay, curcumin is another antioxidant, so that's the turmeric. So if you're cooking curries with turmeric in it, strengthening your capillaries. Selenium, and I will talk to thyroid disease because many of you know I have that as well. So selenium is needed in so many parts of the thyroid pathway. It is crazy. So selenium, it's interesting to see, we also need for capillary strength. And these ones are herbs: horse chestnut, butcher's broom, and bilberry extract. So they are all herbs. So you'll need to work with a herbalist or a naturopath. I'm going to say I've seen horse chestnut. In fact, I think I've seen most of those in the pharmacy. But my way of looking at that is you probably would want the liquid version of that to get into your capillaries, because most of us with chronic disease of any kind, and I've got two, thyroid disease and lipedema, will cause a compromised gut. So to me, anything you can get in liquid form or anything that you can get in powder form that gets absorbed better into your body is going to be far more effective, even if it's more expensive. Okay, I've seen all sorts of things over the years, and a particular note, people that have had a colostomy bag, right? So they've had their intestines removed, so they've got a colostomy bag, taken supplements, and the supplements have ended up in the colostomy bag full, whole, unbroken down. So any way that you can get a liquid version of anything, even if it's more expensive, is actually going to do you more good, or a powder version is going to be more useful to us, because we will have compromised guts. There's no doubt about it. Okay. The other thing of how to strengthen capillaries is an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay. So whole foods, no processed foods, no junk, whatever your thing is, whether it's keto, carnivore, plant-based, doesn't matter what it is, as long as you keep to the whole version of things, try not to have them processed, ditch the seed oils, that kind of thing, then you're probably going to do all right. All right, so that's how to strengthen the capillaries. Now let's look at the physical ways we can do it. So that's more the dietary. So compressions actually support fragile capillaries. So I wrote down a bit more about that. Okay, so it prevents fluid leakage, bruising risk, and fragile capillaries. So if you're always having bruising and issues with bites and that sort of thing, then compressions are your friend. Manual lymphatic drainage massage will move congested fluid. And it relieves pressure on the capillaries and lowers inflammation. So that's another option. And low impact exercise, particularly aquatic, so in the pool where it's kind of acting like a compression in its own right, will help, improve the circulation, and it lowers the jarring on the fragile tissues that you would get if you were not in the pool. Any way that you can activate the calf muscles and the thigh muscles. If you didn't check out my calf muscle challenge and what a difference that made to the backs of my legs, I encourage you to go and find that video. I'll link it later. So that's another option there for the capillaries. But basically, it's kind of all the same things, kind of. But with a heavy emphasis on the reason. Sometimes we need a reason as a human being to do something, okay? We tend not to be more interested in preventing things, but we're all in when we've got something and we need to go backwards, right? We're just all in like that. So the idea of these bites turning into cellulitis for me is just like, oh, I need to be much more focused on my capillary health, my lymphatic health, risk versus benefit. I'm going to use the DEET. I'm going to use the sprays. I'm going to try the coconut oil any way that I can. And for anyone that's joined, I'm going to put up my bites from earlier this week, simply because that's what this was all about, right? So these are raised, they're enlarged, they're still like that. They're starting to come down because I started putting the steroid cream on it. So really, really important that we pay attention to bites, cuts, wounds of any kind. Okay, so yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about this week. So I hope you got something from that. And if you suffer from these sorts of things, if you get bad bites, if you get blisters, I want to know that one. Do you get blisters no matter what kind of shoes you wear? Because that blows my mind over all these years, because I still get them after losing weight. I thought it was a weight thing, but after losing the 60 kilos, and I'm now at pretty much, don't feel like I'm getting any lower. I feel like I'm at my set point until I have my lipedema surgeries. I still get blisters from shoes. So I want to know if anybody else does, because I just don't get it apart from the skin issues with lipedema. Right. That's it from me tonight for another week. I have, what video have I got coming? I've got at least one video coming this week, and it is on my bike riding challenge that I did for 4 weeks. So stay tuned for that one, and I will talk to you all this time next Sunday. Have a great week, everyone.